Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I Overreacting, and it's by user YogurtClosetSum4738. Am I overreacting? My friend cheated at her bachelorette party. My 21 female friend, 20 female, is acting very odd. We went out for her bachelorette party on Thursday for a long weekend. Yesterday night was the main party where we all went out with her in her little bride-to-be veil and sash. It was all going great. She was having a good time. The point was for all of us to have a good time together, but after a while she disappeared for a good hour and I, along with another friend in the bridal party, went out looking for her. We couldn't find her, but she texted us back that she'd see us in the Airbnb we were staying at, and that she just wanted some time to herself, so we didn't push her. When she came back later, it was 3 a.m. and she was out of it. A little disheveled, which she could pass off as partying too hard, but I had a bad gut feeling. My first thought was, because she seemed closed off, that someone had done something bad to her, and I thought I should give her space, but if something bad had happened, I wanted to help, so I spoke to her in private, asked about it, and she said someone had hurt her. I immediately said we should go to the police, report it and all that, but she very vehemently denied it. I figured this was normal. I've heard of survivors not wanting to have reported it and didn't want to be too pushy since it had only been a couple of hours, so I let it be. She said she just wanted to sleep, so I left her to it and checked up on her every hour or so because I felt guilty. We had planned this trip for her, but something so terrible happened, is what I thought, because now it's Sunday evening and at noon she pulled me aside to talk again. I thought she changed her mind about reporting it and I was fully ready to help her, but then she told me it was consensual, that she just wanted to experience something different before being tied down, and that she lied because she panicked and didn't have the energy to explain when she came back. This was of course shocking and incredibly icky because this girl, 1, lied about being harmed, and 2, cheated on her fiancé. She's been problematic since her wedding planning began, making unreasonable demands for bridesmaid dresses and acting like a bridezilla, but this was a whole new low. I freaked out on her, told the other girls that while we were looking for her thinking something happened to her, she was out cheating on her gem of a fiancé. This was perhaps not my place to make a scene, but I was just so done with her. I told her she had to tell her fiancé what happened by the end of the week or we would, because his family is paying for the entire wedding that's in June. So I figured if they need to cancel it and get what they can back, it needs to happen as soon as possible. She just said I was overreacting like a psycho and I'm just jealous of her getting married and want to ruin it for her. But I'm usually a zero tolerance for cheating person. Am I overreacting? No, OP, of course, to me, you're not overreacting because I too am a zero tolerance for cheating person. However, giving her the chance to come clean before you tell the groom is a risk you're taking for her to have time to spin the narrative. She can use this time to come up with another story to tell him or discredit you, so when you do tell him, he's not gonna believe you. Now, the only problem I see is that apart from her word, you have no proof of anything. So this has the potential to become a she said situation. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. OK Film 8885 says, not overreacting. The marriage will end in divorce anyway, so save them the time and money. That's a bad friend to have. Worried Chemistry 33 says, not overreacting. First of all, your friend is nowhere near the maturity level required for even a serious relationship, let alone getting married. Cheating in any capacity is disgusting, but especially when on the cusp of being someone's wife. Lying about being assaulted is deplorable. At the end of the day, she cheated on her fiancé and he has a right to know so that he can dodge the bullet of what will most likely be a short, excruciatingly painful marriage and get tested for an STD. Conscience Long 8468 says, 3 seconds after she called you psycho is when I would have called her fiancé. She lost her week to come clean. And Snipes-a-lot says, well, what did everyone else say once you told them she was cheating on her fiancé? Just curious if they think you are or not. And Opie responds, everyone kind of believed it immediately. She's been less than ideal to deal with since she got engaged. It's like a new side of her as a bridezilla, and she started crying and saying it was a mistake, so she essentially confirmed it to everyone. Well, the majority of the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole. However, some people were calling OP out, and OP decided to do the same. So before we move on to the final update to see how the story ends, here's OP's update calling out people who are okay with cheating. So guys, I had such an overwhelming response, but users Sarah BH, Root741 and Smooth Cauliflower, among an unfortunate number of others, thought I was oh so bad for being mad over my friend lying about sexual assault and for being against infidelity. Here are their comments. Sarah BH0791 said, OMG, you are such a detective. Your curiosity killed you to get through to the bottom of it. Laughing emoji. You were ready to report. This was such a bitch move to get her out and confess. Just stay away. I think you're a bad influence and the whole reason for this blunder. Root741 says, yeah, tell you effing rat, blow up someone else's life because you can. What a friend. Mind your own business or do it. I'm sure you won't because you think you have to be the moral compass. And Smooth Cauliflower 640 said, threatening her with involuntary outing of her cheating right before her wedding? That's effing low too. That's just a power trip on your part. I hate bridezillas as much as anyone, but get effing real already. She slept with someone during her bachelorette party. She told you she wanted to try something crazy before being tied down. It's not everyone's idea of mature, but who made you the moral arbiter of her marriage? Disapprove if you want, and it's clear that you do if you're bringing up her bridesmaid dress decision and crap. But you're not fooling anyone. Stop clutching your pearls and don't plan bachelorette parties if you're gonna be all amazed that sometimes the cheating that 65% of the bridal party will statistically engage in eventually happened too publicly for your convenience. So anyway, I decided to expedite telling her fiancé. After reading the influx of comments justifying me telling him, I decided to email him with a draft I'd typed earlier when she told me about this, but didn't know if I should have sent, with everything I knew of what happened and was told, and asked him to check with the girls as well if he had doubts with a link to this post. He hasn't responded yet, and I don't know what I'd say if he did because I'm not very close to him. I don't want to over-interfere and inject myself into his grieving process since my job is done. I've told him and I've cut her off. If they go on with the wedding, I've made it clear I'm no longer in the wedding party and so have the 3 other bridesmaids, so she wouldn't have a wedding party if she moves forward. Appreciate the people who gave me genuine feedback and advice instead of outing themselves as terrible characters. Opie's edit. Just to add this gem of a comment I got. I'm willing to give anyone the attention and platform they want to have bad opinions. Make sure people don't have to scroll for it. No Wedding 2152 said, back the F off, honey. This is so not your business. My God, you're the a-hole. You should send this to Am I the a-hole because you are. I have to say that going into this, I was worried I was overstepping, but then it hit me that if anyone disagrees with me for telling on a cheater who lied about being sexually assaulted, they're not the kind of person you should be taking advice from, LMAO. Okay, so with all that, let's move on to the final update to see how this story ends. So, some people brought up a very valid point yesterday, that my friend could have 1. Been scared to have said she was harmed and chose the cheating route, and 2. If she was drunk, she couldn't have consented anyway. I took this, felt bad, and contacted her. I think her fiancé left her or something to that effect. I haven't asked, but she, understandably, didn't want to talk to me. But her mother did call me. She was appalled that my friend cheated and she said my friend spoke to both her mom and dad. Apparently, she chose her bachelorette spot because an old flame lives there and she planned on meeting him for a last time for closure or something. I only know this guy as her casual ex from high school and I didn't know her then, so I didn't connect the 2 dots. But long story short, she planned on spending the night with him before she had to tie herself down, and left the pub only 30 minutes into us being there, and I didn't see her drink more than a shot. It's definitely possible she drank more after she left when she was with him, but I do feel like she was responsible for herself after leaving without telling people and switching off her phone while everyone was looking for her. What you do while drunk may not be your choice, but how drunk you get absolutely is your choice. But what I got was that this was planned days in advance, and her bachelorette weekend location was planned according to where this guy lives. So yeah, I'm mostly certain that no sexual assault took place. Another thing people brought up was 1. How did I have the groom's email ID but not number? And 2. That I wanted him for myself. All wedding correspondence with vendors took place over email. I, as a bridesmaid who was helping coordinate, and the groom, as the one literally getting married, were CC'd. I took his email from there. People also asked why I didn't CC everyone and put my friend on blast. As satisfying as that would have been, if I were in the groom's position, I wouldn't want myself finding out at the same as everyone else as part of an exposé. I felt that would be somewhat humiliating, so the goal was to let him know as the affected party and then let him decide how he wants to go about it. Because me and the other bridesmaids already know and have dropped out from the wedding, which I don't think is happening anymore from my friend's mom's words. And for me wanting the groom for myself, be so for real. You can do good things without wanting to jump someone's bones. It's called being a decent human being. I called him a gem of a fiance because he insisted his family cover all costs of the wedding because my friend's father is experiencing some hardship. You don't see that these days. I simply meant that he was doing an excellent thing out of love and want for my friend. Which is why I wanted to tell him even more so about this, because the wedding so far is in the £50,000 ballpark. For reference, the average wedding in the UK costs around £23,000. This is over double. So yeah, that's it. I'm out of her life, so now I really don't have any reason to keep up with what's happening. So this is about the end of it. Well, OP, it sounds like you did the right thing, so good for you. You don't have a crappy friend anymore, and you helped that groom dodge a huge bullet. So here's wishing you the best, OP, and thanks for sharing. Now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user OKRooster3890. Am I the a-hole for telling my father's girlfriend that the more she talks about Jesus, the less she'll see my child? For context, I, 26 female, come from a Catholic family, but my parents decided not to raise me and my siblings as such. My father due to a crisis faith he had years ago, and my mother because she hated practicing it. We were all baptized for our grandparents' sake, but nothing beyond that. We never prayed, didn't have any first communions, and didn't read the Bible. I didn't even set foot in a church until I was 14. I'm very grateful for that upbringing. Today, I'm agnostic and I don't have a great relationship with the church. My husband's family is also Catholic, but he doesn't practice it. Our first child was born earlier this month, and we decided to raise him without religion. Neither of our extended families cared much, but we've been having some trouble with a few people over it. My father has been dating a Christian woman for 6 years. I'll admit, I don't like her, but I don't dislike her either. Before I got pregnant, she wasn't the preachy type, to me at least. She wasn't happy when I told her I was agnostic, but didn't try to change my mind. She did talk about her religion a lot and kept trying to get my father to engage with it frequently, but not much beyond that. Soon after I announced my pregnancy, my husband and I had dinner with my father and his girlfriend, during which she told us she knew the perfect place for the baptism. We said we weren't planning on baptizing our baby, and from that moment she got annoyingly preachy to me and my husband. It was mostly indirect stuff, such as giving the whole family speeches about how glad she was to have Jesus in her life, but some were impossible to mask as unrelated. She gave me a decorative cross for the nursery on my baby shower, tried to make us all say grace during Christmas dinner, which we've never done before, with or without her, and kept bringing up a priest friend of hers who just so happened to also do baptisms. My husband and I stood by our decision. Fast forward to now. Our baby was born a couple of weeks early. He was pretty much full term, but we are all still worried. He's perfectly healthy and we're all doing well. Yesterday, my father and his girlfriend came over to see the baby. While I was telling them about my labor and how it was at the hospital, she told me she had been praying for us the whole time and that we should all praise Jesus for giving us such a beautiful blessing as my son. Unrelated to her previous preachiness or not, I lost whatever patience I had. I said, you know what? I'm done. The more you talk about Jesus and religion and whatever, the less you'll see my child. She was quiet the rest of the visit. After they left, my father called me. He told me he understood I was frustrated, but I shouldn't have been so rude to his girlfriend. He told me her intentions were pure and she was only behaving like this because of how important religion was to her. I don't think I'm in the wrong for my feelings, but I'm worried I was too rude. Am I the a-hole? Well, OP, maybe the tone, but what you said was simply setting a boundary, something that you had already told her before and she just didn't want to listen to. Her religion might be important to her, but it's not to you, so she should just respect you, not the a-hole. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Cute Professor 9983 says, not the a-hole. Maybe remind your dad what's important to you. She can have her faith, but when she starts pushing that on others, that's her crossing boundaries. And OP responds, my father tends to humor her when it comes to these things, which kind of surprises me because she pushes her faith onto him more than onto us. I'm obviously okay with him doing that for himself, but not when it extends to me and my siblings. Top Ad 7154 says, not the a-hole. Quote, hi dad, whilst I respect her religion is important to her, hence why I haven't spoken up sooner, she needs to respect that her beliefs mean nothing to me. I stand by what I said, and any further preachings or hints will result on her being banned from our home indefinitely. Pass it on, I'm not playing. And D-list superhero says, maybe you should shame her for living in sin with your father, if they live together that is. After all, she's your father's girlfriend, not his wife. Therefore, not your child's step-grandmother, not the a-hole. Well, the community clearly agrees that OP is not the a-hole, so now let's check out the update to see how this story ends. I showed my post along with your comments and my replies to my husband. He told me he agreed I had been rude to my father's girlfriend but thought she had pushed me to the point in which I had no other choice. He was actually surprised I lasted so long without saying anything. For the record, I'm not opposed to religion or to Catholicism. I have religious friends. I've seen Godspell and I visited churches without catching fire. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been to was the Metropolitan Cathedral in Brasilia. I've managed to endure preachiness for short periods of time. I'm just not religious. There are many reasons why I don't have a good relationship with the church, most of which I'm not comfortable sharing. I will say that I have been agnostic since I was a teenager, and people have been trying to tell me I'm wrong and I need to be a Christian or Catholic for longer than that. I also live in a very religious country, which never helped my case. I have always loathed people who obsessively preach about their faith to others. I find it incredibly disrespectful and hypocritical. I wouldn't run around telling people what I think as an agnostic, and I expect my acquaintances to do the same. Sometimes you need to be an a-hole to get your point across. I wish I'd understood that sooner. I think I downplayed how stressful it was to deal with my father's girlfriend's behavior during my pregnancy. Everything happened a lot quicker than I expected. On Monday, my older brother informed me our father and his girlfriend had told him about what happened. Apparently expecting him to take their side, he took mine, and they ended up having a short fight. I decided to sort this out with my father before it also extended to my sister. A couple of days ago, my husband and I called my father and his girlfriend to talk about the subject. I told her that as much as I appreciate how much she seems to care about our son, both me and my husband are uncomfortable with the way she's been trying to push her faith onto our family. We don't want to raise our son, as well as any other kids we have in the future, with religion, and we expect the people who will be part of his life to respect that. I told her that moving forward, we wouldn't accept any religious gifts, crosses, Virgin Mary figurines, etc., wouldn't entertain any attempts to make us pray or say grace, and would shut down any speeches about accepting Jesus into our hearts. No more hinting that we should baptize our child either. She is free to pray for us if she wants, but we don't want to know about it. We will respect her faith as long as she respects our boundaries. She remained quiet while I said all of this. When I finished, she asked, "Can you at least put the cross I gave you in his room?" not gonna lie, that was one of the most frustrating things I heard someone say to me in a while. My husband nearly lost his patience. I replied with, this is exactly what we're talking about. No. The answer has always been no and will always be no. And if you keep refusing to accept that, we will restrict your access to our son. It's that simple. We didn't talk much after that. She apologized and we said we forgave her. Then we said our goodbyes. Later that day, my sister went to their place and she said my father's girlfriend was very quiet and seemed upset. My father called me on his own yesterday and we talked a little more about this. He did try to defend his girlfriend a bit, and if I had a coin for every time he said, it's just how she is, I'd be very rich. But he mostly focused on apologizing to me. I accepted it. His girlfriend also texted me with another apology. She sounded more sincere this time. I told her I don't want her to think I'm doing this out of disrespect for her religion. I simply don't share her beliefs. She told me she understood, and this is it. I don't think this is over, but I feel like I've wasted more than enough energy for now. Part of me is still hopeful this will die its own death. Unless my father's girlfriend tries holy waterboarding me sometime soon, I won't update again. My son is happy, healthy, and loved. That's all I care about right now. Thank you guys. I wish you all well. Wow, OP, I understand how frustrating that could be after she completely disregarded the boundary that you were trying to set right there. But apparently, after thinking a little bit more about it, she is actually sorry now, so hopefully she won't push it anymore. So on that note, here's wishing you guys the best, OP. Thanks for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe